Instagram used to be a pretty good social media platform. You could, see what vacations your friends are on and whatnot. There was the odd ad to pay the bill, but it wasn't really the kind of place that you would overshare, like over on Facebook. Instead, it was really a place where people tried to be creative. Sure, it gave birth to a whole generation of oblivious photographers who took pictures of stuff they thought was arty, but was just, stuff. But that wasn't even that bad of a thing. It was just people trying to be creative, trying to make something meaningful. Most of it wasn't very good, but most of anything isn't very good. I mean, look at YouTube. Look at what I'm doing. The point is, people were learning, processing, trying to make something. A lot of my friends who are now photographers found their love for the art form on Instagram. Yeah, it was through the prism of ego, some might say. They were trying to get attention, but I don't know. Most art has some element of ego to it, doesn't it? Most artists sign the bottom corner of the page, or whatever it is that they're making. Point is, Instagram was pretty good. Not perfect, but good. You couldn't blow all day on Instagram back then. There were only so many pictures your friends could take, so many comments you could read, so many hashtags you could check on, if you checked on any, which I never did, but anyway. And then Facebook bought them for $1 billion, and things started to get pretty Facebooky. There were ads everywhere, there was stories, tracking user data, a huge and unnecessary rebrand that everybody hated and then realized they didn't mind, but still. All sorts of corporate silliness. See, what I liked about Instagram, Facebook saw as a problem. We didn't spend too much time on it. That's a problem as far as Facebook's concerned. They would rather we spend all day on it, if possible. Actually, they would probably like to just hook directly into our brains and make us give them money until we die. Then they can use our bones and sell them to medical school classrooms as long as they put that in the user agreement. Am I being paranoid? Probably. That's when Facebook's addiction scientists created their most dangerous weapon, the Explore page. The Explore page is the textbook definition of what Dilbert would call a time suck hole. Yes, I used to read Dilbert. I was a dull child. They put it right in your way, too. If you wanted to search for a user, the Explore page was right there at the bottom of the screen. And you had to click at the top of the screen in order to get to, where you wanted to be, the search bar. So you went to find a user and you found yourself drawn in by the gravity of the time-wasting abyss. Now, how the Explore page works is basically Instagram shows you posts it thinks you'll be interested in. It figures this out based on who you follow, what you like, what's popular in your area, and what your friends like, follow, etc. And it's surprisingly captivating. You come across some awesome stuff, some awful stuff, and a lot of weird stuff. I want to talk about some of that weird stuff because the Explore page on Instagram has become some people's main way of interacting with the outside world and discovering other people's viewpoints and opinions. It's kind of reshaping how some people view others. So in part 1 of my more than one part series, Insta-Strange, we're going to be taking a look at the unintentionally hilarious world of the unironic Instagram finance bro. What I'm talking about is a very specific yet prolific account type that has popped up in the past couple of years. These are anonymous, motivational spewing, quote-loving, mentor-style accounts, and they've taken over my Explore page in the past couple of months. The reason for that is I've been seeking them out, so Instagram thinks I'm interested in them, which is true, but probably not for the reasons that they'd want. No, I've been looking them up in order to make fun of them for this video. These accounts are fascinating to me because they're almost exactly the same one to the other in ethos, presentation, and presumably goals. Their content is almost interchangeable, often sharing doppelganger posts on the subject of business. Check out these two posts, one of which is a total ripoff of the other, or they're both ripoffs of a third account, down to the use of the word advices. That's going to be a theme, a tenuous grasp on the English language. Might be a clue to their origins, as perhaps they're just not first language English speakers, or maybe they're just not trying that hard. Either one is possible. On these accounts, you'll get 3 basic post types. One is the generic motivational post. Usually this is a brief account of how a billionaire got to where they are, like this Jack Ma post, or a clumsily told parable about the virtues of hard work. Look at this Elon Musk quote. Or my personal favorite, pictures of Leonardo DiCaprio with meaningless drivel written underneath. I guess Leonardo DiCaprio just looks like success. No, not really considering the messenger there, though, because I feel like a lot of the movies where he's successful are cautionary tales about the emptiness of it. The second type of post that you get is general financial advice. And this is the bread and butter of these types of accounts. They'll talk about who to invest with or what areas you can invest in. They're trying to demonstrate their value as financial and business gurus. It also can be rolled in with some life advice like workout plans, that kind of thing. You'll find that if you have even basic financial literacy, there's not a lot here for you. Do you know that stocks exist? Did you know that they will increase in value, and if you buy them when they're low, you'll make money? Do you know what inflation is? If you can answer yes to any of these questions, you know about as much as finance as these accounts want to teach you. That's because really, these accounts aren't marketing towards people with a basic financial education. They're marketing to people who are really trying to get something going, but for one reason or another, don't have a lot to go on. And for those people, this is useful advice. Everybody needs to learn from somewhere these straightforward things about business and finance. The third post type is the world-changing idea, wherein it will criticize the status quo and praise those who attempt to disrupt it. Here's a great example. This is the sad truth. Gary V., the person who taught you more relevant, valuable lessons for free. School. These people taught you less relevant, useless lessons for $100,000. Now, I don't want to nitpick. I do want to nitpick. That's completely not true. I am a very annoying person. I love nitpicking. I did not go to college. I went to community college. I didn't go to, university. So I paid way less than $100,000 to learn these less relevant, useless lessons. And also, Gary Vaynerchuk has not taught me any relevant, valuable lessons because the only videos of his that I've watched were about eating blueberries and the New York Jets and why he hates meditation. That wasn't extremely relevant to me. But almost every one of these accounts has a similar post in their backlog somewhere. The upshot is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you don't need a formal education past secondary school, which is true. 20% of small business owners in America never even went to college, and a decent amount never finished. So college certainly doesn't guarantee success in business. But the ubiquity of this attitude is a little odd. I mean, this is just a random sample of some of these posts that I found in the past couple of weeks, and you can see what I'm talking about. It's an almost hive mind that's developed from these infographic-loving finance dudes. They've all formed the opinion that you don't need college and it's actually a waste of time. This does beg the question, what are these guys getting out of it? Clearly, they're not just trying to put out quality content for the edification of their followers because, well, we've looked at their content and it has been found wanting on the quality side in a few cases. So what are they actually hoping to accomplish? Well, 2 things really. 1, gain followers. And 2, profit. See, the more followers you have, the more you can sell things to them. And since their followers are business-minded followers, they can sell them business-directed products and services. Like, for example, digital marketing consulting, which is one of the most popular services that these guys tend to offer. You'll find that link in their bio tends to lead to that kind of arrangement. So what they want to do is they want to tell you how they got so many followers and help you do the same. And that's interesting because you know who else did that was Gary Vaynerchuk, the guy from the post that we were just looking at a minute ago. That's how he got to where he is now. First, he had a somewhat successful online wine show, which boosted sales for his online wine store. Then he quit the wine business and went into digital marketing consulting because he had proved that he knew how to take viewers and turn them into customers. So he sold that experience in the form of, consulting time to Fortune 500 companies. He knew how to get eyeballs and turn them into customers. It's interesting because that's almost exactly what these Instagram online marketing gurus are trying to do right now. So it's no wonder that they idolize someone like Gary. He did exactly what they're trying to do. Successfully? Who knows? They throw around like a 1% conversion rate as a viable amount that you can rely on, but they don't provide any evidence for that. So who knows if they've been able to turn their tens or hundreds of thousands of followers into that amount of clients. Do the math. I don't want to. And for what it's worth, they're pretty transparent about this process. I've seen plenty of infographics explaining how to do exactly that. Get followers, start consulting. So really, that's the only financial advice of theirs that we know for sure they followed, which is interesting. An aspect of these accounts that does bother me, though, is that they don't tend to question the virtue of those who have succeeded. Success is a virtue in its own right as far as some of these accounts are concerned. Like, take a look at this post, where Jeff Bezos says that the only way to avoid criticism is to never do anything new. On the one hand, I can see how that could be motivational. Tune out the haters, do what you know is right. That's the kind of thing somebody starting a business might need to hear. But it is worth considering the messenger. Jeff Bezos probably should listen to his critics. People don't tend to hate on him just because he's successful. Some people do, but in general, the dislike for him comes from the way that he runs his company and the way that it doesn't really look after its employees very well, allegedly. Several former and current Amazon fulfillment center workers have complained about having unrealistic targets set for each day, meaning that they had to forgo bathroom breaks and looking after their medical conditions in order to avoid discipline or termination. A great way for Jeff to avoid that kind of criticism would be to stop doing that. And maybe he will. He certainly seems like he's looking into it. Maybe he will listen to his critics, but that's the point. He needs to listen to his critics in order for his company to continue to be, ethical and viewed well and profitable. So the point is, there doesn't seem to be a lot of thought put into the kind of businesses that these Insta finance guys want to run or want to promote. They just know that Big Boy Bezos made billions, and if you listen to his advice, then you'll make billions too. Now, the truth is, of course, a lot more complicated than that, because Jeff Bezos would not be as rich as he is now without a healthy serving of luck. There's a lot of chaos and randomness involved in success in business, and that's the kind of thing that makes some people uncomfortable. But it's the truth. If Bezos had started his company just a few years later, then Amazon probably would have gone out with the dot-com bubble. But because they'd started a little bit earlier, and they had a little nest egg of money because they'd paid off a lot of their debt, they were able to ride out that particular crisis. Was that because they were so smart? No, they just lucked out in that case. And if they hadn't done that, Amazon wouldn't even be here. Could you imagine a world without Amazon? Oh. That's the main problem with this success is a virtue philosophy. It assumes that people, especially entrepreneurs, are successful because of hard work and intelligence, which, yes, increases your odds of success. But they don't guarantee it, nor do they necessarily have to be there in order for someone to be successful. A lazy moron can have a good string of luck on the stock market and then sell out at the right time. Or a hardworking genius can go broke due to circumstances beyond their control, say medical costs getting out of hand. Billionaires are not the only people who have worked hard in the world, nor are they the people who have worked hardest necessarily. They're just a good combination of good positioning, good reasoning, and a healthy serving of luck. The world of finance involves a lot more chaos than we'd like to admit. The real lesson you learn from paying attention to this kind of thing is that successful people aren't always great at identifying why they've been successful, so their advice can be unhelpful to someone trying to emulate their success. And that's the basic limitation of giving financial advice through Instagram. They only have the content of the post and the caption to grab your attention off the Explore page and on to their account. So they have to give a motivational, clear, concise message that really doesn't leave a lot of room for nuance or, good advice that's going to be helpful for you going forward. The kind that you would get from a trade magazine or from consulting with a qualified, considerate financial advisor. Now, sometimes these accounts will give specific, actionable advice that's actually helpful to some people, like side hustle ideas. That's really interesting because in just about 100 words, they can give an outline of a business that you could try and start, either freelancing or just as a small business. It's not really enough to get you off the ground, but it is enough to get you to start thinking about what you could do. I've seen quite a few examples that have set people on the right path towards starting a productive, side gig while they keep their 9 to 5, and it's helped them make a little bit of extra money. So, that's useful. Or how about this one from Finance Kit? It recommends doing research and clearing debt before investing, which is really good counsel, and not the type of, just do it nonsense that we've come to expect from this genre of account. So while I've viewed these accounts as kind of comedic and misguided, I do see that there is some value in what some of them do post. There's even a level of sincerity. I think they even want to help people. It's then that I realized that while similar in presentation style, these accounts are pretty different in what they're trying to accomplish. Some are trying to provide value for their followers and then profit off that value. Others are basically stealing content and selling it on the pawn shop of Instagram for followers. So good job, finance Instagram bros. You did some good things. I suppose now would be a good time to wrap this all up, but I'm stumped as to what the actual thesis is here, because it's hard to fault them for doing exactly what they said they were going to do. They wanted to get followers the easiest way possible and then attempt to profit off of them. That's what they tried to do. That's what they did. So it's hard to say anything bad about that, other than, they didn't put much effort into it, and I don't like what a lot of them produce. And yes, I'd like to mock them all day for their unironic glorification of business and hustle, along with spelling errors and clear plagiarism. It makes a delicious concoction for mockery, but, that's what they said they were going to do, so good for you, I guess. Maybe we can even learn something from these types of accounts. Like, look at this picture here of a cheetah and a dog race. Yeah, let's look at what this has to say. Maybe it could give us some information that will be valuable to us. The speed race wanted to check who was faster, the cheetah or the dogs. The cheetah didn't move a finger and sat in place. People asked the race coordinator, what happened? His answer was, sometimes trying to prove that you are the best is an insult. You don't need to worry about impressing others. Prove things only to yourself. Wow, yeah, that really makes you think. Hold on. That quote sounds like a lesson in how to give a glib response when somebody confronts you about not delivering on your promises. Almost like a metaphor for these types of accounts. It's not a good example of what to do, because the cheetah certainly did not think that it was being insulted and being made to run. He probably didn't know that he was supposed to run because he's a wild animal and probably wasn't trained for this kind of thing. Cheetahs are, as far as I'm aware, incapable of feeling insulted. That's kind of a human thing. He's probably just tired or so, whatever. Besides, they actually have had cheetah dog races. I watched a movie about it one time, and the cheetahs win almost every time because, well, of course they do. It's not really even something worth exploring, but people did, and, well, now we know. Also, according to Snopes, this is from an Audi ad from 2000, that picture there. Not a real cheetah race. So this is fake, and the story is probably also fake. I don't know. These accounts are pretty dumb a lot of the time. There's some good ones. They give some good advice sometimes. Pick the good ones if you are into this kind of thing. Avoid the useless ones and don't waste too much time on Instagram. Join us next time. Bye-bye.